Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another edition of Mike's Check Hook. I have a very, very special guest joining me today. He's a actor, writer, model, and sometimes he moonlight in boxing. You know what I'm saying? Just a little bit, but no, I'm playing. He's the zone analyst, and he does a great job over there at the zone on boxing. Barak Bess, man, how's it going today, brother?
Everything is great, man. Especially after that introduction, everything's even better.
Oh man, I appreciate that, man. I've been working on it, man. I've been working on it. So let's get right on to it. How did you end up getting the job at the zone?
Well, I guess it all started maybe years ago. I don't even know how many years ago, maybe 6, 7 years ago. Hooking up with my brother Ak. We actually grew up in the same neighborhood, as teenagers,
What
and
don't give a shot.
started out doing it online. What you say?
I said, what neighborhood is that? Go ahead and give a shout out.
Park Slope, Brooklyn.
Okay, shout out Brooklyn.
That's right. So, we started doing an online radio thing, something that he was doing. I was producing it, because I write, you know what I'm saying? And long story short, just grinding, man. We landed Sirius XM a couple years later. From Sirius XM, we went to thisis50.com, that hip hop platform, turned that into a recognized boxing platform, in the boxing world. And this, I guess the zone popped up out of nowhere. Eddie Hearn introduced the zone to America, and they needed some hosts. They wanted to do a daily show, so I guess they were checking online and they found us. The rest is history, history in the making.
Do you remember your first encounter with Ock?
Oh man, first encounter. I guess on the basketball courts. I seen this dude. I was like, "Who's this kid with this fake crossover?" You know what I'm saying? And I guess that was the first time I met this kid.
Now, when I was talking to Ock, he said boxing was kind of in his blood. He always grew up around it. How did you get
Right.
introduced to boxing?
Well, I grew up in martial arts, so like as a kid I fought, as an adult I fought. You know what I'm saying? I fought in a lot of karate tournaments. You know what I'm saying? And so fighting is in my family. My grandfather, he was a champion amateur boxer in the Marines, and he used to spar with Pretty Boy Floyd Patterson. Jersey Joe Walcott. So it's in my blood. You know what I mean? But fighting in general, that's me. Whether I was fighting in karate tournaments or fighting on the street. You know what I'm saying? So I always had that love. And then when my son was about 6 years old, I brought him to Gleason's. And ever since then, I was like, you know what? If my son is going to be involved in boxing, then I gotta be a force in this boxing world because it's not like in karate. It's like in MMA. It's like it's more respect. It's more of a respect level in karate, especially when you're deeply in karate. You know what I'm saying? Um, it's just a bunch of egos and dudes just want to beat each other up. A boxer comes with his camp and that camp want to fight another camp. You know, Nobody got respect but the boxers themselves. You know what I'm saying? So I realized I need to make a change in this world. And the best way to make a change is to be a part of it. You know what I'm saying?
Now,
So here I am today.
how long have you been doing karate, and what degree belt are you?
All my life, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm a black belt in Shotokan. I studied Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for years, but I never was under the belt system. You know what I'm saying? I never was under the belt system. And in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it takes many, many years to be a black belt anyway. You know what I'm saying? So I also studied Sado, and I think I got up to green in that. But Shotokan is my base. That's my foundation. I've been a black belt in Shotokan for many years, but it's not really about the belts anymore for me. It's kind of like a way of life because in karate, I never really looked at it as self-defense. You know what I'm saying? Like it's definitely a way of life. It reminds me of I'm also a Christian and it reminds me of the morals that are in the Bible. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, absolutely. For those that don't know who what Shotokan is, like you like kind of describe it or like just give a general sense of what it is.
Absolutely. Shotokan is a Japanese form of karate, traditional form of karate. You know what I'm saying? Kicks, punches, katas. You know what I'm saying? It's more traditional. And Brazilian, I know everybody knows what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is. You know, that became famous in the '90s with the Gracies, and I studied that for many years as well. That right there is an excellent form of self-defense.
Yeah, it looks like it. Have you ever like competed in a mixed martial art competition?
No, I never. MMA is well, I'm from the old school karate, so MMA was like when it first came out was kind of like a disrespectful term.
It was
You know
taboo.
what I'm saying? Because it means like you're not a master at nothing.
You
You know
just
what I'm saying? It means you just studied a couple of things. And even when it first started, it was started by the Gracies actually. The UFC was started by the Gracies, and it was really just for them to show that their art was superior. So what happened was because the Gracies were beating everybody,
what's that
you
big guy?
had other. I'm
That
sorry.
that big guy's name that I guess the dad Gracie fought, like it was a big huge guy, but he like made him tap out with like an arm bar or something. I
Yeah,
I,
yeah. I can't remember the kid. I can't remember the guy's name.
I seen it on YouTube.
Oh,
The guy was like he was like 3 times the size of Gracie though.
you talking about chemo? I don't know if you're talking about chemo.
I believe it was chemo, like on a big open kind of mat, or was it?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It might have been him. It might have been him. I know he was over like 280 or something like that, close to 300 pounds, muscular dude,
Bigger than
a
me.
real big guy. But it started out as them wanting to show their art, and what happened is you had the other guys. Like there was a guy named Pat Smith. He was a boxer, and
I think he got a phone call, you guys, maybe. So, uh, but we're gonna keep it rolling. Great interview with Barak Bess. So there we go. There we go. He's back with us. All right, sorry about that, brother.
that's all right. That's all right.
But you were saying the Gracies wanted to show how their
Yeah,
form was much
that
better than everybody else.
right. So what happened was when they used to beat guys who were from other arts, let's say like from karate or from boxing or whatever, then those boxers and karate artists, they realized they needed to learn jujitsu in order to beat them. So that's how this mixed martial arts name came into play. So I never really indulged into that, but I fought. So while MMA was getting big, I was still fighting in karate tournaments.
Okay, so talk about getting your son into boxing and then exploring like all the different possibilities that has arisen from boxing.
Okay. My like I said, my family is deeply rooted in fighting. So, it's just mandatory that you learn some kind of art in my family. So I had my son in karate. That's our number one art in my family. And I realized he wasn't excelling, and that was kind of strange because everybody is usually naturals. And I just decided to bring him to Gleason's one day, and that's where his gift was. So the kid was excelling. Like the kid was 6 years old, and the whole gym would stop just to look at him. But one thing about me is that for me, education is the most important thing because you can get hurt and lose your basketball skill. You can get hurt and lose your boxing ability, and use that boxing, lose the boxing opportunity, what I'm saying, to be somebody. But one thing somebody can't take from you is your education. So my son, uh, it was a little hard for him to do boxing and school, so he would only train seasonally, like maybe during the summer times or whatever. But that was enough for me to get, to be around that atmosphere and start going to boxing shows and realize that I could be useful here.
Okay, over the weekend y'all had a big show down in Kansas. Have you ever been into Kansas previously?
I didn't know where Kansas was, and basically I still don't.
Oh, disrespectful. That's so disrespectful. No, I'm just playing. But how was the overall experience down there?
I mean, I thought it was great, man. What I liked about it is that the venue was a casino. Now I don't gamble, but I like the fact that everything was indoors. Everything was right there. It was a one-stop shop, so for the whole town, it was easy for them to come there and enjoy themselves. I think that the card was good. I liked Eddie Hearn, I like a couple of I like the his last recent cards because they don't have the biggest name, but they have enough fights to keep us interested, to keep myself interested. Like the Rosado Arias fight was in my mind was a 50-50 fight. And I was really fiending to see that fight.
Yeah, I thought that fight was good, but I thought the pre-fight talk was a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, shout out to those guys.
Yeah.
As a draw, I mean, both guys were pretty mad about it. How did you score it?
I scored Rosado 7 rounds to 5.
Gotcha. Were you impressed by the performance Clarissa Shields put on? I have a interview with her tomorrow, by the way.
Okay. Yeah, should be a good interview. Yeah, actually I was. I didn't know too much about ranking, but I do know that when you have somebody who is quote unquote inferior, then you should look that much better. And I think that's exactly what Clarissa Shields did. She practiced on everything. She probably worked in the gym. Her counter punching was on point. People complain and say that she's a little wild on the inside, and I think she picked up punches a lot better. I think she showed better defense. I, um, I think she was really on point, man. I was really impressed by her performance.
I think John David Jackson is doing an excellent job with her.
I
How
agree.
much do you think Bam Bam Rio has left?
Um, I think he has a lot left in his tank, but I don't think what he has in a tank is enough to beat the top 147 pounders. I think that for the style that he has, doesn't I think he has it. You know what I'm saying? He shows that he still has the ability to absorb punches and come out on top. Now, is that going to work against the elite in the 147 division, the guys who will actually hold them belts? I don't think so.
How good can Nikita Ababi be? That's
Oh,
his
that
name.
kid, man. Yeah, a Bobby. Uh, I think sky's the limits with this kid.
He looks good.
I seen his first fight. It was quick. He was a little wild in there. He was excited. But his second fight, he showed a little punch placement, still showed power. I'm wondering if he can bang with the big boys at 160. But as for right now, if he continues to get better, sky's the limits with this kid. I can see him grabbing a strap.
Yeah, I mean, and he still has plenty of time to like grow into that body. You know what I'm saying? At 160, or he maybe go up to 168. Never know.
Right.
Do you?
Hopefully, because sometimes, with today, because of media, because of social media, people are rushed sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want pride or the media or someone to rush him. I would hope that they take his career at the proper pace.
Speaking of that, I had a interview with Anthony Yard's manager slash trainer Tunde
Hmm.
Ajayi, and one thing he said, and one thing that he coined, everything is timing. So
Yes, yes. Rest. The Bible says that there's a time and season for everything, and I take that very seriously. You know what I'm saying? Our timing is everything. People blow up in boxing because of timing. You know what I'm saying? And then when people don't respect that time, then they end up losing their O, you know? And that's just it.
but see, man, I hear you, but shouldn't we get like in boxing shit to make the sport better, to make the sport grow, to make the sport more popular? Shouldn't
Hmm.
we get like UFC? Damn, the O man, the O ain't that damn important no more, bro. We want to see the best fight the best.
See, that's not the thing. Of course, I agree with you 100%, but I'm saying why lose your O before it's time? Lose your O when you're ready to get in the ring with whoever it is you're fighting. Don't lose your O prematurely because you just made a bad decision. That's all I'm saying.
Gotcha.
The best fighters in the world got losses. You know what I'm saying? That's nothing. You know what I'm saying? Avenge your loss. But in reality, if you don't beat that guy that beat you, you ain't the best. And that's why that O is so significant, you know what I'm saying, to anybody. And I want always for a fighter to struggle to keep that O, but not by dodging fights.
I'm glad you said that. all those fighters out there, if you lost to a guy and you claim you the best and you ain't rematch him, you ain't the best. Just
You
saying.
ain't the best,
Yeah.
right? Exactly. Like for years and years, I'm a fan of all boxers. I'm just a fan of people in general. You know what I'm saying? But for years and years, Manny Pacquiao was the fighter of the decade. He was the best in 147 or whatever, and everybody forgets that Marquez knocked him out, and Marquez was never really catapulted into the spot of pound for pound great. No one's ever mentioned him, and he knocked out the man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they kind of sweep that under the rug when they talk
Yeah, they sure did.
of a decade. Speaking of, we said something about 160. I can't remember, but do you think that Anthony Sims Jr. should stay at 168 or should he campaign at 175?
I told him personally, I said, because of your height, I would start at 168 and see where you fared there and then try to move up to 175. And that's what I told him the other day, actually. I think he's skillful. And that's the thing. He's actually short for 168 as well, but he's so skillful. You know what I'm saying? That I think it doesn't really matter. And it's funny because I was talking to him, and I think there was a promoter there too. I'm not sure if it was Eddie Hearn or whoever it was. And he just kept saying skills pays the bills. And that's absolutely true. So a man that trusts in his skills and as confident as he is a dangerous man, nonetheless.
I never got your reaction to Nicozy Solomon. His pro debut didn't turn out to be a great one. He suffered a defeat. Can't remember
Mm-hmm.
the guy's name right now, but uh it's funny because Nestor Nestor pointed out like when he was coming out to the ring, his attire didn't look like those of a number one prospect. You know what I'm saying? And then and that's what I said. I started laughing like, do the clothes matter? But then he said
Right.
he went to Big Baby's gym and they
Mm-hmm.
brought it the same thing up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't remember his attire. I don't know how that has anything to do with anything, but I'm willing to learn anything. But I do know that I don't have much of a reaction because it's hard to judge on a fighter's first performance because there's nerves involved. And me being a fighter, I understand how nerves can play an effect of your performance. You know what I'm saying? So I've been nervous fighting because my friends are watching and I've lost. You know what I'm saying? A tournament at the Jacob Javits Center. I think I came in second place because even though I was better than everybody, I was the favorite to beat everybody. And I even kicked the guy in the face and it didn't score because the judges didn't see it. But regardless, I was nervous. So it really hindered the way I fought. So that may be the case. Maybe he was nervous and his legs were shot. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe he just doesn't have it. I just don't want to make that decision so quick. Because think about it. His coach is Sosa. Now, Sosa has a Bobby. Sosa has Chris Colbert. Sosa he co-trains Big Baby Miller. So he knows talent when he sees it. So he's not going to have those guys and then have somebody who doesn't have it clearly, like it kind of looked Solomon, in that performance. So obviously something went wrong.
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Now, Big Baby,
Mm-hmm.
he's been stopping all his opponents. Been looking very, very impressive. But is it time
Right.
for him to like get a top? Well, I'm not say top 10 opponent because he's been fighting top 10 opponents. But is it time for him to get somebody that's going to give him a challenge like a Dillian White or maybe a Luis Ortiz kind of opponent? There has been rumors
Absolutely.
of after Ortiz fight on the Wilder card that he may sign with Eddie Hearn.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's time. It's long overdue. But like boxers say, they're not picking their opponents. You know what I'm saying? All he does is just get a phone call and say, "This is who you're fighting next." And I think he's been calling out the guys he wants. Even when I speak to him in person, he tells me he wants Dylan White or whoever. So I think it's time. I think he's ready, and let's see what happens.
Absolutely. Who would you like to see him against next? If you
Well,
were
I told him I want to see him against Dylan White. You know, the winner between Dylan White and Chisora. I'm just guessing Dylan White would win. You know, so I'd like to see him with him.
who does AJ
Or
fight on April 13th if Dylan White Big Baby fights?
well, I believe Dylan White is going to fight AJ April 13th. I'd like that to be AJ versus Wilder, but I highly doubt that.
Me too.
But I think they're setting up for Wilder to fight AJ and for Big Baby to fight. I forgot this guy's name. I forgot the young man's name. It just eludes me.
Okay. Okay. Um, Wilder Fury, who you got and why?
I got Fury. I, no, I'm lying. What are you laughing at, bro?
I've been
Why ask me? Why ask me if you're gonna laugh?
who you got, bro. I'm just I want the fans to know. You know what I'm saying?
Good answer. Good answer. I got Wilder with a semi late stoppage.
Semi late.
I, yeah, I say towards the middle rounds, Fury is gonna gas out. I think he's gonna be a very difficult fighter for the first few rounds, and then he's gonna gas out because it takes more than one camp to get into heavyweight champion condition. And Wilder's gonna connect. He's gonna find him and he's gonna connect and he's gonna end the night.
What if what what if it goes late and Wilder is possibly losing rounds or being outboxed? Does he start to feel the pressure? Does he press for the knockout and maybe Fury can cause the upset? Is there any possible way that outcome could happen in your eyes?
Of course, this is boxing. If Fury's in tip top shape, of course it can probably come to this. I think that, but what I do trust is that in Wilder's corner, he has some great minds, and they'll tell him to go to the body. They'll tell him to use angles. Fury's a great boxers, but great boxers get beat, and there's ways to beat great boxers. And I think that his coaches are smart enough to figure it out as the fight goes on.
What do you think about Fury hiring Freddie Roach to be in his corner as
I
a
didn't know that. I didn't.
whatever the hell you want to call it?
I didn't even know that. You know, is that something
Yeah,
that's official?
got announced last week. Yeah,
Oh wow. Okay. Well, that doesn't matter to me. I think Freddie Roach is great for offensive fighters. You know, I don't see how that's gonna make a difference. I don't know.
do you think
I think Fury's a great boxer already, and I think that it's really conditioning. You know, that I think condition is going to be his downfall. I don't really think that he needed another coach, but
do you
who
think
knows?
is mind games for Fury, or do you think he may be panicking, or is he just trying to be
That
the best possible Fury he can be?
that's a good question. I would go with the latter because I feel like I feel like he's a champ at heart, no matter what. I feel like he's a warrior, no matter what. And I feel like he knows that this is his toughest test. And if there's any doubt, his doubt is only coming from his layoff. His doubt is not coming from the lack of belief in his skills or any kind of real fear. I believe he's a man of his word, and when he says he doesn't fear Wilder, I believe he doesn't. But he does. Uh, he is in touch with reality that Wilder is a dangerous character, no matter what.
Now you were over there for AJ and Pavikin, right?
Yes, sir.
How was that experience at Wembley Stadium, man?
Well, it was surreal, man. It was incredible to see that many people in one spot cheer for one person. And it was actually raining outside, and it didn't matter. It was just incredible being in a city that boxing is so important. It made me feel it made me feel somewhat important because my line of work is important in this city. Now, here in America, I say, oh, well, I just interviewed the heavyweight champion. They say, well, who's that? No one knows Josh.
Yeah, guys, he probably got another call right quick. So yeah, it's crazy, man. Over here, heavyweight champion, they be like, "Who is that?" But over in England, when you say, I just interviewed the heavyweight champion," then they know that you're definitely talking about Anthony Joshua. And Anthony Joshua was one. Okay, there we go. He's back. There we go.
Hmm.
I was just saying, like you said, over here they didn't like who is that, but over there, when you
Hmm.
say I just interviewed the heavyweight champion, they know exactly who you're talking about.
Absolutely. You are absolutely right. And it's beautiful to be in that kind of society. It's like a boxing heaven. When you get off the plane and customs say, "What are you doing here?" And you tell them your vocation, and they say, "Oh, wow, yeah, Anthony Joshua, I know him." And she's like, "I'm not even a boxing fan, but when he boxes, the whole city stops. You know what I'm saying, to watch. It's bigger than boxing over there. He's a celebrity. And it's a beautiful thing. Very beautiful thing.
How was it meeting AJ and having that one-on-one time with him? And did he like the hat?
He's just a real cool guy, man. He's somebody that you can't dislike once you know him. You know what I'm saying? Even my boy Wilder, man, even my boy Wilder likes the guy. So it might look like he don't like him, but he does. And Wilder actually hits him up personally and gives him advice, like because Joshua is just a real sincere, good guy. I think a lot of people are mad at his handlers sometimes. But to get to know the person is to love that guy. I mean, he's really a good guy.
Sounds like you got a personal relationship with both, so it's gonna be kind of
Oh
hard.
yeah, both of them guys are my dudes. Definitely. Man, I'm a people person. You know what I'm saying? I'm not in this to be. I mean, I'm a normal human being, so I'm gonna be biased. You know what I'm saying? But
Mm.
I'm not gonna dislike somebody because I'm friends with somebody else. Me and Wilder like family, but I'm not going to dislike Joshua because of that, because that wouldn't make me an individual.
Totally true. Totally true. How is it being around Eddie Hearn, and like what kind of guy is he when the camera's off?
He's the same kind of guy that he is when the camera's on.
I'm glad you said that because I said the exact same thing.
Who said that?
I,
Oh yeah, that's so crazy.
I
Like there is no difference. Like he is the same exact way. Like when we just chilling, eating, he's the same exact way. Like nobody's perfect. So everybody is gonna always find something to dislike within a person's character. But when I tell you he is the same way, he is the same way.
absolutely, absolutely. Now, did you see the confrontation between Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence?
Spence,
Yeah,
yeah, I saw that.
what you make of that, man?
uh, that's boxing. That's egos. That's good stuff if you ask me, because they kept it clean. You know what I'm saying? They kept it mostly, for the most part, respectful. I kind of love that. I think it just added a little bit more fire to their fight. Now, I loved it. I even liked how because I didn't watch the whole thing. Like somebody sent me the whole 11-minute video, and I didn't really even watch the whole thing. But I like both fighters. Once again, I'm friends with both fighters. But I did like the part when um, what's his name? Bob Arum came in and said,
If you want,
he said, the smartest thing you could do, Spence, is stay away from Terrence Crawford. And Terrence could and Spence could have said anything out the blue. If it was somebody else, they would have blew up on Bob Arum. But he said, "Listen, man, I respect you. You're a Hall of Fame." Like he said, you're you're,
yeah,
you're a veteran promoter. I just thought that was so dope. He disagreed with him,
but
but he
kept
did it in a respectful manner, like the gentleman he is.
because I mean, people know, man. People recognize the contribution that Bob Arum has given to boxing. You know what I'm saying? Like him, love him, hate him, whatever. You
Mm,
got to respect his contribution to the sport.
yes. Agreed. I think a wise person respects that. But looking online and social media is just a bunch of angry people who don't really know. you know.
Now, just to play devil's advocate, and was
Hmm.
some stuff that came out 2 weeks ago when he called Al Heyman a cancer to the sport. That rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, but me knowing Bob Arum, well, not knowing, but knowing the
Hmm.
just outside looking in, He's just doing this because he wants that fight for his fighter, and he knows the best way to make a headline is to say something outlandish. And plus, when you get 80, you should be allowed to say what the hell you want to say.
Well, you know what? Mm, I totally understand what you're saying, but you know what? What Al is doing is from sincerity. Like Al really loves the fighters, but I definitely understand why Bob Arum said that. Bob, I don't think Bob Arum said that to be outlandish. I don't think he said that to gain headlines. I think he said that because he sincerely believes that Al Heyman is a cancer to the sport because, like probably other promoters feel that way too, because he's offering fighters way too much money in their opinion, and that's kind of and in their opinion that's ruining the sport. Now fighters don't want to fight anymore unless they make it a certain amount, and other promoters can't afford that. So that's why he sincerely thinks that. Now,
I was,
is that true? That's just a man's opinion,
yeah,
huh?
but you can say that, but cancer is like something that's killing the sport. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and think about it. Think about it. If people start outpricing themselves, then you're messing up the sport. You know what I'm saying? So that's just what he's thinking. That's I'm just trying to say, tell you his mentality. I'm not trying to say whether it's right or wrong, but that's his mentality, and he truly believes that.
I just think people have been used to making a certain amount of money off certain
Hmm.
events for a long time, and times are changing. You can't make that same money because fighters are being are smarter, and now we have the Ali Act, so fighters know
Right,
how much
right.
they're gonna make. So it's that.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree. You know what I'm saying? I totally agree. But sometimes there are sincere promoters that actually want their fighters to get paid. I think maybe Lou DiBella might be one of them in some cases. And but he can't afford it. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't afford certain fighters, because they're looking at how much Floyd made or how much a different Al Heyman fighter made. So and now they want that. So it does become a little tough.
How do we get the Zone, ESPN, Showtime, Fox all to work together to provide the sport with the best possible matchups?
They don't actually have to work together. What I think is that everybody just has to do their part separately. I think that it's the promoters who need to decide to work together and utilize whatever platform they feel is best for them. So if Showtime is best for you, then utilize Showtime. Um, if the zone is best for this particular fighter, then utilize the zone. If Fox is best, then utilize Fox. I think that once the promoters get past, you know, their internal issues that they have, then the networks would just be the networks. No one should really be mentioning networks.
But you
You know what
got
I'm saying? It's really about the fighters.
I
So
know
forget about.
it's
I'm
about the
sorry.
fighters, but when you have a guy like Errol Spence who's on Showtime, and you have a
Hmm.
guy like Terrence Crawford who's on ESPN, they are the
Hmm.
two marquee fighters on their in their weight class on their network. Maybe
Hmm.
the top two marquee fighters on their network. Period.
Hmm.
The networks are not going to let the fighters go over and fight on the opposite network, so they have to work together in some kind of capacity, right or wrong.
Well, that's beautifully put, and I get what you're saying now. I get what you're saying when you say that, but there's been so many times working together doesn't mean that you both have to show the fight. And yeah, I get that. That would be nice. That would be sweet. Like with Mayweather Pacquiao, you got HBO and Showtime. You know what I'm saying? That would be nice. Or Mike Tyson versus Lennox Lewis. That would be nice. But the promoters are the ones who make these deals with these networks. And at the end of the day, it's really about the promoters convincing the networks to allow their fighter to fight someone else or stop making long-term deals with these networks and allow the fighter to be able to be moved wherever he so chooses. Because it shouldn't be a network that's stopping somebody from fighting. That's ridiculous. I think fighters should be free agents. I
Yeah,
think I don't think they should lock. You don't sign to a network. Sign to a promoter and fight anywhere. I'm not saying just fight on the zone just because I work for the zone. I want to see the best fights. I want to see people make money.
but
Fight anywhere.
with that being said, sometimes the promoters got deals with networks.
That's the problem. That's what I'm saying. It's really the promoters. It ain't the networks. It's the promoters. Of course, the networks are just going to want what they want, and that's rightfully so. If you got a company, you want the best fighter too. But no, it's the promoters that signed them. Let them make the better decision to not lock in a fighter somewhere, and then you can't fight anyone else. Like I look at this beautiful deal that Canelo made. That was great. This 365 million. The only good part about that I could see him making that is because in his division, all the belt holders are fighters who can fight on the zone. You know what I'm saying? And that's a beautiful thing. But in other divisions, damn, when you sign into a network, it makes it hard for everybody to fight each other. You know what I'm saying? But it's really about the promoters. I think that, like what you said, which kind of made sense, networks working together, I'm all for that. But the promoters got to get past, their beefs. Sometimes the probably networks would work together, because if they're making money, who cares? But it's really about the promoters not wanting other promoters to make money off of their fighter or their platform.
Now, speaking of Canelo, does Canelo after he fights Rocky Tilden, does he go back down to 160 and defend his title against Jamal Charlo,
You see, you
or
walk
does
past
he
now,
drop
so
that WBC
no,
title?
I'm gonna eat first, then I'm gonna go.
I definitely think after he, if he wins, he makes history. He comes back down to 160. Charlo would be a great fight. Danny Jacobs would be a great fight. Any one of those guys, I'd love to see. Or even Boo Boo, Andre, that'd be a great fight. You know what I'm saying? It's danger everywhere you look.
But I believe that WBC holds like the mandatory like first, I believe so. Like
Okay.
after this fight, he has to either defend it or let it go because I believe that they ordered Triple G and Jamal Charlo for a final eliminator, but uh,
Okay.
and Abel and Tom Lawford said they have no interest in fighting Jamal Charlo.
Wow. Wow, that's funny to hear.
Not
Um,
really.
Nobody wants to fight that kid Jamal.
I mean,
that's,
tough kid to
that's a
fight.
big boy,
Yeah.
skillful kid. I feel like if I feel like Jamal is going to be tied up. You know what I'm saying? So he wouldn't be the next fight anyway. You know what I mean? But that would be nice. That would be nice. I feel like Jamal needs a shot with some of the top guys. You know what I'm saying? One of the top guys, Jamal needs a shot, and he needs that now.
When it's all said and done, who do you think is gonna be the best at 160?
I can't call that.
Mm.
This town, this is it's too rich. This division is too rich. I can't call that. Um, I would have never said Boo Boo last year. Last year I would have never said Boo Boo, but now Boo Boo's in it, and he's a spectacular fighter. So I really can't call that. I
Does
think we're just gonna have to see it unfold. And look at Canelo. Canelo's one of those fighters that gets better every fight. He shows us a new wrinkle every fight. So I can't. If you would have asked me a couple years ago who would win between Canelo and Danny Jacobs, I'd say Danny Jacobs wash him quick. Now I can't say that. I say it's going to be a competitive fight. So I can't call it. I just think it's one of the best divisions we have today.
what year did you think Danny Jacobs was going to watch Canelo? I'm just curious.
Maybe a year and a half ago, I felt like he was too big for Canelo. A year and a half, 2 years ago, I felt like he was too big and too skillful for Canelo. And then once I seen Canelo in there with Triple G, I seen that Canelo can box on the back foot very well. So nobody's just gonna pressure him and beat him that easy.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, I'm going to ask you about Jamel Charlo and Jerry Swift Hurd. If that fight
Mhm.
ever comes to fruition, how you see that fight going?
I have to give the edge to Hurd only because he's already surprising me. He's already surprising me every time. Like this guy fought Trout. Now Trout is not the best fighter in the world. He's a very skillful boxer, but no one was able to stop Trout. No one was able to really get get to that guy. You know what I'm saying? Canelo barely got past him, and even both Charlos fought him, and it had to go 12 rounds. You know what I'm saying? So this guy Hurd has something special. You know what I'm saying? Now you beat Lara too. Damn. Nobody's beating Lara, I thought, at 154. You know, I just thought Lara would box and move and just might not look pretty, but he knows how to win. You know, so he surprised me with that fight as well. So I gotta give the edge. I gotta give the edge to Hurd. The only thing is that I think that I think Jamel Charlo would be obviously the strongest fighter he was fought to date. And maybe that would be an issue. You can't sit there and just take his punches all day, probably.
Absolutely, absolutely. Does Andre Ward come back and fight Alexander Usyk?
No, sir.
He does not.
No, sir.
Ward is done. Period.
I say Ward is done. I say Ward is he just got a new job with ESPN. He's doing a great job. I think once you're home and you're appreciating your kids and you just had another baby and you see how good that life is, to give that up, to do something that you hate. Now you love boxing, but you hate training. That's a hard job, especially when, you know, the latter years of your career, you was dealing with knee issues, you know, so then you got to do that again. And then you got to be away from your family. That's a very hard order to ask.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll play this little game with all my guests. So if you
Okay,
don't mind, five more minutes of your time, then I'll let you go.
let's go.
All right, here we go. Hot or cold?
Hot.
When I was a kid, my favorite cartoon show or TV show was.
I ain't have a TV. We was poor, bro.
Hey, I feel you, man. I feel you. What what kind of activity did you do as a kid then?
I fought. I
Oh,
fought in karate tournaments. I trained. I came home from school. I had to do push-ups. I had to fight. I had to spar my uncle. I lived with my two uncles, you know, who were black belts. They Hall of Fame karate guys now. You know, that's all I did was fighting. That's all I know.
when was your first fight? Uh,
Um, I had to be. I can't remember it.
okay.
I can only remember one from when I was 6 years old. But I was told that my first one was 5 years old. We were lying, saying that I was, you know, old enough to fight because I was too young to fight.
Damn. So you was in there since 5 years old. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
absolutely.
My favorite kind of ice cream is.
I don't eat ice cream.
If I had one superpower, it would be
Invisibility.
why invisibility.
So I get away. So I could get away and be to myself.
Okay, you can't do that.
Alone time is important to me
Gotcha. Gotcha. Why is that? Why is alone time so important to you? Do
because I feel like social media, our phones, have taken away that alone time. I
mm,
feel like the addiction that you gain, and we all gain these addictions to our phones, have taken away the time that you used to just spend thinking and being creative. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe praying. You know what I'm saying? Or just alone time has just been taken away because of TV and social media.
the last book I read was
The Bible.
awesome. Awesome. Do you have a favorite book that came out this year that you've been reading, or that you picked up and like, hey, this is a good one?
Yeah, a book called Tooth and Nail. It's a
Okay.
boxing book about a fight doctor.
Fight Doctor. Okay.
Hmm.
All right. The first thing I do in the morning when I wake up is
Pray.
the three most important things in my life are
God, family, and purpose.
if I could live in one period in time in history, it would be
Today.
okay. Okay. And boxing has changed my life. How?
It's giving me more time with my family.
Elaborate.
Well, five, you know, or have to clock in or somebody else's schedule. Now I make my own schedule. And when I choose to take a month for my family, like recently, before Kansas, I might have had almost a month just being home with my family with nothing to do with my family and still being able to take care of my family, financially, so it's given me a lot of time that I need, that I've always wanted. I used to hang out with these boxers and these trainers and say, I want to be like that, where I have time to do whatever I want. If I decide I want to catch a plane to go to LA tomorrow, then I could do that.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Barak Bess, actor, model, boxing analyst, writer, everything. The zone. I mean, the guy does it all. If you could give out your social media and let the fans know when the next boxing event on the zone would be.
Okay, my social media, my IG, that's all I have, is Boxing Bully. That's Boxing Bully. And the next, the zone event is December 15th at Madison Square Garden. It's going to be Canelo versus Rocky Fielding.
And if you guys are really lucky, you probably can catch him at Walmart whipping around and one.
That's right, bro. Catch me going beep, beep, beep.
Hey man, last question, man. I asked Octis, and I want to know the truth. Do you guys got a stylist, or is that all y'all?
Nah, I ain't got no stylist. I ain't
Okay.
got no stylist at all.
Drip,
That's
drip.
all us. But I appreciate that, man. That says something, man. I appreciate that, brother.
Looking, man, y'all look fresh, man. I mean, I'm
Thank you, bro. Appreciate that.
the zone events, the zone, y'all little segments that y'all have like on the
Yeah.
actual website. I'm like, damn,
Yes.
the hats.
Well, thank you. I want to say thank you for that compliment, and thank you for having the zone. You know what I'm saying? And putting food in my kids' mouths. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate that, man. But yeah, we don't have no stylist, man. I mean, I guess fashion is just important to us. You know what I mean? And that's one thing. We just happen to be two guys that like going shopping, like dressing. You know what I'm saying? So I guess it's just being noticed now. I guess I appreciate that.
All right, brother. Thanks for your time, man. Anything else you got to say
Thank
to the
you.
fans before I let you go?
Say that one time, brother.
Anything else you got to say to the fans before I let you go?
What I want to say is keep subscribing to the Boxing Voice, because not only do they update you on the boxing news, but they have a wonderful, learned point of view.
Absolutely, man. We appreciate that, man. Have a great day.
You too, brother. God bless.
Peace.